Welcome and thank you to another episode of The Contemplative Citizen. We're here with a briefing alert today. Have you heard about what's going on in California? No, not Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. That's entertainment. That's a distraction. We have truckers fighting for our freedoms in D.C., calling attention to government overreach. Yet, it's easier to talk or tweet about personal beliefs about some public event. But did you know what's going on in California on the legislative floor next week? Actually, 2 weeks. You should be aware. What would you think of a state that required immunizations for both public and private schools, regardless of FDA approval, no exemptions for personal beliefs, and very, very rare medical exemptions? How would that make you feel? Well, that's Senate Bill 871. And it has a lot of support. What if a state passed legislation that classifies any anti-COVID medical opinion as unprofessional conduct, subject to discipline by the medical board if it disagrees with the public health policy of that state? That means they can take your doctor's license away for offering an alternative opinion regarding COVID. That's Assembly Bill 2098. What if they lowered the age of vaccine consent to 12 without parental consent or knowledge being required? That's Senate Bill 866. What about a bill that authorizes the medical board to inspect a doctor's office and your medical records without your consent, the patient's consent? Any person on the medical board can go in and look at a doctor's patient's records. That's Senate Bill 920. What about a bill that says if you are a law enforcement, a police department, a sheriff's office, that requires you to enforce public health guidelines or lose all funding? This is in response to sheriffs that refuse to enforce mask mandates and vaccine mandates. That's Senate Bill 1464 in California. What about a law that requires testing and a long-term plan for testing and reporting of results to the California Department of Public Health? That's Senate Bill 1479. It does not sound all bad, right? Why wouldn't we want to test? Well, the reason why we wouldn't want to test is if we have a variant like the Omicron, that is not terribly harmful, and viruses have a tendency to weaken over time. That's why you don't hear about SARS and MERS anymore, because they run their course. Each variant gets weaker and weaker, although more prevalent, but still having less consequential outcomes. Well, what's the point of testing for something that you know is prevalent in society, but is causing little to no harm? Well, that's what you'll have if you look 5 years out from today, is knowledge and testing about a virus that's doing no harm to the public. We're kind of the tail end of COVID. But it could be any virus. How about the flu? Could they keep you from going to school with the flu? Maybe you should, but should they require it? Should the states be involved in that? What if there was a law on the books that prohibited any person or organization from making statements that the government deems untrue or misleading by any means, including internet and ads? Do they tell you what the government deems untrue? Not in Senate Bill 1390. They leave it so that the persons in power can determine whether something is true or something is false. And what about Senate Bill 1184 in California, which authorizes school health professional to disclose a child's medical info without parental consent to a third party? What about Assembly Bill 1797, which creates an immunization tracking system giving all government agencies, that's all government agencies, access to your vaccine records? And of course, it all culminates. This is what we were fighting against. It all culminates in Assembly Bill 1993. Proof of COVID-19 vaccine for all employees and independent contractors that work in the state of California. Does that sound like a casual legislative agenda? Of course not. This was planned, was carefully considered, carefully constructed, and introduced at a time when they think they can get this bill, this whole portfolio of bills passed. And when you look on a site like Legiscan, which allows you to scan bills out there, and you should do that. Don't take my opinion for what these bills are. You can go verify it. But the contemplative citizen will want to know what's going on in his or her state. Shouldn't we be active participants in how we're governed? If so, check these bills out. This is not only, a briefing alert. This is a call to action. This fundamentally changes California from the rest of the United States. No privacy, no freedom to speak, no control over your own health, schools making decisions or requiring immunizations, both public and private schools for your kids. You don't have a choice. And law enforcement now being required to support it's not even laws, right? It's guidance from the state government. Now it's illegal to not enforce that. Public health guidelines. Not even an elected official. A powerful subcommittee can now require law enforcement to take action on their behalf. My friends and my fellow contemplative citizens, we the people must wake up and must take action. This is happening in the next 2 weeks in one state. We have 50 states to watch out for, and we have the federal government to watch out for. Who's going to do it? Are you? If so, let us know what you're up to. And join us. We have a channel on YouTube, The Contemplative Citizen, where you can catch replays of this. But we're on every... we're wherever you get your favorite podcast. So contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Have a good evening. Thank you.